A collaborative effort to get more four-staters vaccinated against COVID-19 comes to a head with a vaccine clinic. I'm Zach Dodge with the details.
The bipartisan infrastructure deal inches towards a Senate vote as President Biden pushes for investing in clean energy cars and trucks. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with more on why he says more money is needed than what's currently in the bill.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. The Iola, Kansas Fire Department says a woman is dead after a house fire. The fire happened at a house on North Sycamore Road. The Iola fire chief says the fire was put out quickly, but a woman inside passed away. The Kansas Fire Marshal, Olathe Fire Department, and ATF are assisting in the investigation. OSBI is helping the Miami, Oklahoma Police Department in a death investigation. Highway workers today found a body along Highway 69A near Miami. Authorities say the victim was a man, but they're not releasing any more details at this time. Police in Iola, Kansas arrest a murder suspect from Missouri. Authorities arrested 19-year-old Robin Morales Sanchez, who they say stabbed and killed Moises Hernandez Sanchez and stabbed another victim in Ashland, Missouri. Police found Morales Sanchez in Iola with Sarah Malkai, who police say was helping him flee the country. Morales Sanchez is charged with second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and 2 counts of armed criminal action. Malkai was arrested on charges of hindering prosecution of a felony. City of Joplin says it paid out more than $300,000 from its cyber insurance policy after what it still calls a cybersecurity incident. The incident happened last month. It shut down the city's online services like bill payment and the COVID-19 dashboard. Those services have since been restored, and today the city released more information about the incident. The city says they paid the, quote, unauthorized individual responsible for the incident $320,000 from the city's cyber insurance policy. They've called in help from an IT forensics firm to help with the investigation. The city says they're not releasing any more information because they say it could, quote, jeopardize the integrity of the investigation and also expose the city to future risk and attacks. Nick Kelly joining us now. A bit more clouds out there today, Nick.
Yeah, certainly has been, Jordan, not to mention some of those clouds in spots leading to a few showers and thunderstorms. But Joplin, we've been able to keep things dry throughout the course of the evening. And despite the clouds, we've managed to stay warm again. 83 below our average high of 91 after we started at 67 this morning. Again, we had to track some scattered showers and storms this afternoon and into the start of this evening. But overall, though, we are looking at a drier overnight and a mild start to our Friday morning with lows dropping back to about 66. Unfortunately, Jordan, I do have highs pushing back into the upper 80s tomorrow, a sign of the heat and humidity ready to return. We'll break down the rest of the forecast here in a bit.
All right, Nick Kelly, thank you so much. The percentage of U.S. adults who say they oppose getting the COVID-19 vaccine has remained unchanged since December. That's according to a report from the Kaiser Family Foundation. That opposition and other vaccine hesitancy is what a collaboration in Joplin is working to get through, so more four-staters are going to get vaccinated. KOAM's Zach Dodge has how that effort has come to a head and how the community responded.
From school leaders,
Bulldogs, go out and get vaccinated.
And coaches,
our best advice is seek your healthcare professional.
To community leaders,
listen to the doctors, listen to the epidemiologists, listen to the scientists.
And doctors, all coming together to encourage four states residents to get vaccinated.
The risk is too great not to get the vaccine.
Efforts by the Community Health Collaborative, made up of several community organizations and leaders, to get vaccination rates in the community up came to a head with a walk-in clinic at Access Family Care.
All of the healthcare professionals who have partnered with us have spoke to the safety and the efficacy of the vaccines and at least preventing serious illness and hospitalization. And so we think as a community, it's our responsibility to have a safe community for each other.
And as vaccinations happened inside, those leaders took to Facebook Live to encourage residents to come out.
And we're rivals and we like to win when we're on the court or on the field. But we're not competing right now. We're all on the same page, pushing for the same thing.
A drive-in testing clinic was also put on by the state.
Okay.
With more than 50 tests in 3 hours. So more will be done to break through vaccine hesitancy or whatever else may be holding residents back.
Whatever the reasons have been that they have not had the vaccine in the past, I think with the present state of affairs, with the Delta variant that you know, they need to rethink this situation.
We came together after a giant tornado 10 years ago, and that's the community that we need to see back here to beat this crisis.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
According to the City of Joplin's coronavirus dashboard, 95 people are hospitalized with COVID-19 in Joplin hospitals. If you have questions about the vaccines, you can find more information on the CDC's website. And if you are a Missouri resident looking for where to get a vaccine, you can visit Missouri's Vaccine Navigator to find what locations near you have your preferred vaccine. We have links to both of those sites, by the way, on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Federal eviction moratorium expired last weekend. Then on Tuesday, the CDC issued a new moratorium lasting until October. We spoke with an area lawyer who handles eviction cases who says that to use the moratorium, tenants must raise that issue and show that they've lost income because of the pandemic. The lawyer says he's only seen 3 cases try to use the moratorium. None of them, however, met the second requirement. In that case, not all is lost for the tenants. Organizations like Catholic Charities provide rental assistance to those who need help.
For folks who may find the process too cumbersome, that the landlord can also apply for these funds. So landlords out there who have tenants who are behind on the rent, they can come to us and we will walk them through the process of getting paid.
To get approved for the assistance, the renter must be in Missouri. One member of the household must have been impacted by COVID, and the household must fall 80% of the average median income. Any money awarded by the charity would go to the landlord. The Biden administration now looking at a phased approach to ease travel into the United States. This as the Delta variant continues to fuel a surge of cases across the country. Fox News correspondent Aisha Husney has more.
The Delta variant maintains its hold on parts of the U.S. White House officials say 7 states now with the lowest vaccination rates account for about half of new infections and hospitalizations over the last week. Florida and Texas alone make up about 1/3. Health officials say vaccines remain the best line of defense against new variants.
You protect the vulnerable targets who are unvaccinated people by vaccinating them.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration says it's working on plans to ease travel restrictions, including potentially requiring all foreign visitors to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Existing restrictions will stay in place for now.
There's still policy work being done here. May need to have some type of a vaccine requirement, but that's not a decision at this point.
And Moderna announcing today its COVID-19 vaccine is 93% effective for up to 6 months after full immunization. Pfizer made a similar announcement last week, reporting its vaccine is now 91% effective in that same time period. The drug maker says scientists are working on a booster shot for the Delta variant, and they can expect data in the next few months.
When we see the totality of the data, we will pick the best booster. In Germany, in France, in the UK, in Israel, they say that they're going to start boosting the elderly.
And Moderna says a third COVID-19 shot will likely be needed before winter. In New York, Aisha Husney, Fox News.
Treating moderately ill COVID patients with full-dose blood thinners reduces the need for a ventilator and increases their chances of leaving the hospital. That's all according to a large international study in the New England Journal of Medicine. But researchers found the same treatment did not have the same effect on critically ill COVID patients. Senate is slogging through the infrastructure bill, voting on amendments as lawmakers eye a possible finish over the weekend. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the latest on the bill, as President Biden touts the importance of investing in clean energy.
As the Senate inches closer towards wrapping up work on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, President Biden is setting another goal, jump-starting a shift towards electric cars with a new executive order. The president is aiming to make half of all new cars sold in 2030 emission-free.
The question is whether we'll lead or fall behind in the race for the future.
The president is touting the need for bold action on top of the investments made in the infrastructure package. $7.5 billion has been set aside for a national network of electric vehicle chargers, a little less than 5% of what the president had called for in his American Jobs Plan.
The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act isn't perfect. No bill ever is. But it makes historic investments in assets that will benefit every American for many, many years.
Timing for the bill's final passage is fluid, despite optimism from the White House and on Capitol Hill.
We think we are headed toward an agreement on this front, but we certainly are cognizant of and focused on the reality of funds being needed.
Some lawmakers are still not sold, especially as Democrats push their $3.5 trillion budget blueprint, their next priority after the bipartisan infrastructure package.
Now is not the time to double down on out-of-control spending for a non-emergency matter.
Lawmakers are also preparing for a potential showdown over the nation's debt limit. Senator Mitch McConnell says Republicans won't vote to raise the debt ceiling if Democrats push their $3.5 trillion spending package through. In Washington, Malda Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Jesse Campbell served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 45. Native of Miami, Campbell received several awards, including the Victory Ribbon and Good Conduct Medal. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Jesse Campbell, tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, a local minor league basketball team making a playoff push in their first year in four states. We have details in sports.
We might have had quite a bit of hay stick around on this Thursday, but we were able to keep things on the warm side, below normal, thanks to a good deal of cloud cover, and for some of you, some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms. But our latest time lapse from Indigo Sky Casino Resort outside of Seneca showed that area staying dry throughout much of the day. And again, it's the cloud cover and this unusual odd weather setup. We'll certainly take it because that meant a high of 83 today when normally we should be at 91. However, we got to see the temperature start trending upward tomorrow. Still below normal, but we'll start topping out in the upper 80s as we get our weekend started on our Friday. Believe it or not, we actually had a weak system pass us to the north in the upper levels of the atmosphere. As a result, underneath these partly sunny skies throughout the afternoon primarily, that's when we had to keep an eye on just some scattered showers and thunderstorms. And we're seeing these die off as we continue throughout the rest of the night. 7th and Range line earlier this evening showing a pretty calm look to the east side of Joplin. Everyone started out in the mid to upper 60s this morning, and after we saw temperatures in the upper 70s to near 80 to start this afternoon out, not bad. Again, normally we should be topping out in the lower 90s and baking under the heat and humidity, but 78 the coolest near Stockton Lake, and the warmest we got was 86 over in Yates Center. However, changes are on the way once again as we see one system depart, with any bigger, heavier rain and storms mainly staying out in southern Oklahoma today. At the surface, we have just this weak little wind shift line that helped at the surface a little bit to get some of these scattered showers and storms going, but it was mainly this upper low passing just to the north across northern Missouri. The thing is, though, once this low decides to amscray, we'll see the jet lift back to the north, some of that upper level ridge energy taking back control, and that is what's going to bring the all familiar summer heat and humidity, at least some of it, back into play. As we go through the rest of the night, again, I think we're pretty much done with our rain chances, so we'll be dry to start Friday morning out. Let's say partly cloudy skies, lows around 66. Going throughout the day, I think we're in general pretty good. Mostly sunny throughout the afternoon, but again, even with the light south breeze, that mostly sunny sky is going to help to kick the thermometer upward. 66 in the morning, 83 by noon. We'll have afternoon highs topping out around 88. And looking down the road, we'll be back in the lower 90s, unfortunately, for Friday as we go back on the hotter side of the jet stream. But I'm going to keep an eye on this upper low as we go into late Saturday night into Sunday. I think we're dry Saturday, but as this wave passes nearby, we'll see if we can sneak some scattered storms in here on Sunday, but that doesn't change the fact that we're still going to be in the 90s to wrap up this weekend. And this is how the overall upper level setup is going to look. Maybe a few weak waves with maybe some isolated storms at times throughout much of next week. But that does not change the fact that it's going to be hot and kind of humid once again as soon as we get next week underway. 88 tomorrow, 92 Saturday, 93 on Sunday. Back into the mid-90s for much of next week, Jordan, and lows kind of warm and muggy in the mid-70s.
All right, Nick, thanks so much. Coming up, the Olympics putting a different type of spotlight on the country.
We're learning more about the diplomatic standoff that prompted an Olympic athlete to defect in the middle of the Games. I'm Greg Belka in London. That's my story. Coming up.
Listen up here. Dollar General is recalling more than 150,000 folding chairs. This after consumer reports of amputating or lacerating fingers. That's according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. There have been at least 3 reports of the chair's metal folding joints resulting in amputations or lacerations to fingers. The chairs were sold at Dollar General stores nationwide between January 2019 and September 2019. Consumers can contact the store for a full refund. We're learning more about the dramatic defection of a Belarusian sprinter during the Tokyo Olympics. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott has more now from London.
A Belarusian sprinter is telling her story after a dramatic standoff at the Tokyo Olympics. CHRISTINA says she was initially ordered to go home by her Olympic team and agreed to do so. But on the way to the airport, she received a rushed phone call from her grandmother warning her not to return because of threats from the country's authoritarian regime. She then wrote a plea for help on her phone and showed it to Tokyo police, who helped her get to Poland, where she's been offered asylum. She says she's safe at the moment, but worried her family back home could face repercussions.
I worry a lot about my parents who stayed in Belarus, especially as my father is sick and he has heart problems. I hope that nothing bad will happen to them.
The defection is prompting some countries to reevaluate their relationship with the Belarusian government and President Alexander Lukashenko. Officials here in the UK say diplomatic consequences could be announced in the coming days.
The behavior of the Lukashenko regime is appalling. We will also continue to hold to account the Lukashenko regime.
Meanwhile, with the games set to end in 3 days, Tokyo is reporting a record high number of COVID infections, more than 5,000 new cases on Monday, prompting a growing number of residents to call for more restrictions to stop the spread.
More needs to be done instead of just asking people not to go out. The government needs to come up with some sort of measures so that people can stay at home.
Since the start of the Olympics, Tokyo's daily average of new cases has jumped more than 84%. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Next, back to the wallet for back to school.
The back-to-school countdown is on, and experts say shoppers will shell out billions. I'm Lauren Blanchard with a look at what's causing the surge in spending coming up.
Fewer Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week, according to the Labor Department. First-time filings for weekly jobless claims dipped to 385,000. Meanwhile, continuing jobless claims fell to below 3 million, the lowest since March of last year. Back to school shopping season is heating up, but before you check that list twice, you may want to clip some coupons and check those coupons twice. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more on the price increase consumers are seeing at the stores and what some Good Samaritans are doing to help students in need.
I'm excited to see my teacher and do lots of fun things.
Back to school season is getting underway, and experts say it could burn a hole in your wallet. The National Retail Federation predicts Americans will spend $37.1 billion this year on school supplies, up more than $3 billion from last year.
We just started and I see that everything's empty.
The massive migration from learning remote to being back in the classroom is prompting parents to wipe out stock at many major retailers.
They're missing pencils, folders, everything is not here.
With the pandemic causing some families to face financial difficulties, communities across the country are coming together, like this Florida group of bikers donating hundreds of backpacks to local children in need.
Regardless of what their family's financial situation is, can come to school with a new backpack with supplies and have everything they need to confidently start their school year.
Meanwhile, one thing on the back-to-school list for a growing number of kids: face masks, with Illinois now joining at least 8 other states in enforcing mandatory indoor mask policies.
All P-12 schools and daycares in Illinois must follow the CDC guidance of universal masking inside, regardless of vaccine status.
Experts say the cost of most school supplies will likely be higher this year, with the pandemic affecting supply chains and manufacturing centers. Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Coming up, Monopoly doing it again. How you can put those savvy shopping skills to the test in this board game's newest version. So a Target run can now be played in a board game. Target and Hasbro are teaming up to bring customers a limited edition Monopoly game made to mimic a trip to the fan favorite chain store. Instead of buying properties, collecting money, players are going to make their way around the board collecting items to fill their red baskets. Other fun twists include the iconic bullseye and puppy mascot, that little puppy mascot, being used as game pieces. I love dogs. The Target version of Monopoly is available for a limited time at store locations. Also, you can check online to buy that if you so wish. A little bit of a twist there, right? But still fun. Still fun. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
The Kansas Polymer Research Center at PSU has received a grant for $1.4 million, and they say that could translate into big things for the local economy. Details are coming up.
Also, the Bourbon County, Kansas Sheriff's Office presenting a check to the Kansas Special Olympics. The National Institute of Standards and Technology has awarded Pitt State's Kansas Polymer Research Center with a $1.4 million grant. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to the center's executive director and an associate professor to learn how that grant will aid the local economy.
Basically, everything we're doing is focusing on generating jobs in this area.
Tim Dawsey, Executive Director of PSU's Kansas Polymer Research Center, says the $1.4 million grant the center just received will allow them to keep researching ways the plastics and polymers industry can assist local agriculture.
We got agricultural products, byproducts, and waste. We need to figure out some other things to do with those. So if we can look at those materials and say, hey, we can make value-added materials, polymers, if you will, from those materials. Everybody wins. We bring manufacturing opportunities in. Our excellent graduates who are recruited all over the nation have the opportunity to stay right here in the region.
Dawsey says the research the center is doing on farm byproducts that often end up in a landfill could be the key to not only recycling, but to creating brand new industries for the four-state area.
We can make insulation from this. We can make cushioning materials from this. We can make acoustic materials from this. We can make decorative materials from this. There's any number of things that we can be able to do with that.
Associate Professor of Chemistry Ram Gupta shares in his executive director's excitement for the grant because he knows what it will mean for his students.
The good point of this grant is that we are able to acquire lots of new equipment which will be very helpful for our student, because hands-on experience is the key for the industrial growth.
In Pittsburgh, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
This grant will also assist the center's FARMS program, which stands for Farmers Accelerating Research in Materials Science. Fun evening for many people in Joplin, the Easy Living Prom for adults with disabilities. The event was held at MSSU, organized by the Easy Living Organization of Joplin. The event has been held every year since 2014, but was canceled last year, obviously, because of COVID. Organizers say it gives adults with disabilities a chance to have a fun night out.
It's so much fun. They love dressing up. They love coming, and we get food, and there's a DJ that does music. It's so much fun. It's something that they talk about all year long. So it's amazing, really.
That is awesome. The Easy Living organization provides services, of course, to people with developmental disabilities. They are located, by the way, on West Wildwood Ranch Parkway in Joplin. Bourbon County, Kansas Sheriff's Office today presented the funds from its annual Golf Scramble to Kansas Special Olympics. The office and the participants in this scramble brought in more than $32,000.
The community helps us along the way. We have great support from our participants, our volunteers, city people, the county people. Me and Steve, we play in a lot of tournaments across the state, and so that brings people back to Bourbon County as well.
Funds will be used to support Special Olympics athletes in Kansas. Well, a new study finds people with disabilities, diabetics rather, are significantly more likely to be hospitalized because of an infection and are at greater risk of dying from infections. Researchers at Johns Hopkins say the increased risk was observed for nearly every type of infection, but especially among foot infections. There are currently 100 large fires burning across 14 states. So far, collectively, burning almost 2 million acres. The largest fire in California, leaving a path of destruction across the northern part of the state. Growing over the last few days, it devastated one gold rush era town in particular. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has more now from Los Angeles.
Northern California's already devastating Dixie Fire engulfing the Gold Rush era town of Greenville on Wednesday, turning much of the downtown into ash. Some of the destroyed structures more than a century old.
We lost Greenville tonight, and there's just not words for.
Some comparing the charred remains of the town to a war zone. California's largest fire has burned for weeks, but it's been gaining new momentum in the last few days, fueled by whipping winds as the blaze consumes bone-dry vegetation. Thousands of firefighters battling the fire, which is running parallel to a canyon area, turning it into a chimney that created a massive plume of smoke visible from at least 70 miles away. Erupting overnight, the approaching flames of the Dixie Fire forcing hundreds in the town of Greenville to evacuate.
We're all evacuating. Everyone's driving home as fast as they can to get their bag and split.
But many won't have a home to return to. Meanwhile, dozens more lost everything in the river fire, burning about 100 miles south in a drought-stricken, heavily forested area.
This took off.
The fast-moving fire prompting large-scale evacuations for about 6,000 people across 2 counties.
Police and everything came through with sirens and everything, and they were telling us to evacuate now.
The record-breaking heat and drought, which some scientists blame on climate change, creating more frequent and more catastrophic fires, making the fight against them even more difficult. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
A bit later, things get to a new normal with Baseball Hall of Fame reopening. Gonna visit Cooperstown.
We might have had quite a bit of hay stick around on this Thursday, but we were able to keep things on the warm side, below normal, thanks to a good deal of cloud cover, and for some of you, some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms. But our latest time lapse from Indigo Sky Casino Resort outside of Seneca show that area staying dry throughout much of the day. And again, it's the cloud cover and this unusual odd weather setup. We'll certainly take it because I meant a high of 83 today when normally we should be at 91. However, we got to see the temperature start trending upward tomorrow. Still below normal, but we'll start topping out in the upper 80s as we get our weekend started on our Friday. Believe it or not, we actually had a weak system pass us to the north in the upper levels of the atmosphere. As a result, underneath these partly sunny skies throughout the afternoon primarily, that's when we had to keep an eye on just some scattered showers and thunderstorms. And we're seeing these die off as we continue throughout the rest of the night. 7th and range line earlier this evening showing a pretty calm look to the east side of Joplin. Everyone started out in the mid to upper 60s this morning, and after we saw temperatures in the upper 70s to near 80 to start this afternoon out, not bad. Again, normally we should be topping out in the lower 90s and baking under the heat and humidity, but 78 the coolest near Stockton Lake, and the warmest we got was 86 over in Yates Center. However, changes are on the way once again as we see one system depart with any bigger, heavier rain and storms mainly staying out in southern Oklahoma today. At the surface, we have just this weak little wind shift line that helped at the surface a little bit to get some of these scattered showers and storms going, but it was mainly this upper low passing just to the north across northern Missouri. The thing is, though, once this low decides to amscray, we'll see the jet lift back to the north, some of that upper level ridge energy taking back control, and that is what's going to bring the all familiar summer heat and humidity, at least some of it, back into play. As we go through the rest of the night, again, I think we're pretty much done with our rain chances, so we'll be dry to start Friday morning out. Let's say partly cloudy skies, lows around 66. Going throughout the day, I think we're in general pretty good. Mostly sunny throughout the afternoon, but again, even with the light south breeze, that mostly sunny sky is going to help to kick the thermometer upward. 66 in the morning, 83 by noon. We'll have afternoon highs topping out around 88. And looking down the road, we'll be back in the lower 90s, unfortunately, for Friday as we go back on the hotter side of the jet stream. But I'm going to keep an eye on this upper low as we go into late Saturday night into Sunday. I think we're dry Saturday, but as this wave passes nearby, we'll see if we can sneak some scattered storms in here on Sunday, but that doesn't change the fact that we're still going to be in the 90s to wrap up this weekend. And this is how the overall upper level setup is going to look. Maybe a few weak waves with maybe some isolated storms at times throughout much of next week. But that does not change the fact that it's going to be hot and kind of humid once again as soon as we get next week underway. 88 tomorrow, 92 Saturday, 93 on Sunday. Back into the mid-90s for much of next week, Jordan, and lows kind of warm and muggy in the mid-70s.
Nick, thanks again. Coming up in sports, Pittsburgh American Legion baseball team aiming to stay alive in the regional tournament. Also, the Tri-State 66ers aim to make the playoffs in their first year in Pittsburgh. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Pittsburgh American Legion baseball team is playing in the Mid-South Regional Tournament this week in Nebraska. The Post 64 faces elimination today after falling to Oak Grove, Missouri on Wednesday. Now, Pittsburgh playing Gretna Post 216 out of Nebraska, with the winner staying alive in the tournament. Unfortunately, Post 64 sees its season come to an end today, falling 3-0. The Tri-State 66ers playing in their first year playing minor league basketball in Pittsburgh. Now, the 66ers have a chance to move on to the playoffs with just 2 regular season games remaining. And Danny Terzer has more on how the team is trying to extend their first season in Pittsburgh.
The Tri-State 66ers are trying to make a statement in their first season in the PBA.
Pick it up, let's go! The desire actually came after we won our first game. Everybody kind of looked at the league and was like, we can do this. Like, it's attainable. It's not impossible. So once we got that first win under our belt, guys started to like lock in and focus more. Everybody, figured out what their role was, and everybody started doing their job.
There's 2 games left in the regular season, and a playoff spot is on the line.
We just joined the league late, and to know that we were able to do this and have a chance to play in the playoffs the first year, that's great.
It's heating up. Who wants it? We know what we've worked for. So it's time to go get it. It's time to prove to everybody, hey, you guys didn't want us here at first, now we're here. The same type of passion, the same type of drive you guys going right now, we got to keep that going. We got 2 games left, baby. Everybody comes from a background of struggle. Nobody had anything given to them. Everybody's had to earn their spot. So I think a lot of us have a chip on our shoulder. So it kind of gives us that, that extra drive, that extra push to, want to win it all.
A ticket to the postseason will be hard-earned. The 66ers play the top team in the division at home on Saturday.
It's been amped up. It's been very intense. Coaches intensified practice a lot. We've also been doing individual workouts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been very intense. I'm just ready to play. This could be the game-winning shot right here.
We're coming out, we're fighting like some caged pit bulls, so we're coming out to go do it.
In Pittsburgh, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Now, the 66ers will host the Louisiana Kingdom Riders on Saturday. That game begins at 5 o'clock at the Pittsburgh YMCA. Now, the U.S. men's basketball team will play for gold at the Tokyo Olympics. The United States beat Australia earlier today, 97-78 in the Olympics semifinals. Kevin Durant led the way with 23 points. Now the U.S. will try to win their 4th consecutive gold medal, facing France on Saturday. We're down to just 9 days until the Kansas City Chiefs play their first preseason game. Kansas City hits the road to San Francisco on the 14th in their first of just 3 tune-up games. Now this week, Chiefs have been in full pads at practice. Today, actually the 3rd day of full pads. Head coach Andy Reid says there's been good competition in 1-on-1s and 2-on-2 drills, but they've also kept things up-tempo and moving quickly, and that's helped them avoid competition getting too heated, like the fight at Giants camp this week.
We try to go at a fast pace and try to get as many plays in, and it's, you get in a fight and it kind of drains the system. Like you're not going to be doing very good the next play, and that's what you're putting on tape. I'm not big on fighting. I mean, that's not my deal. We're not, this isn't ultimate fighting or something. This is football. We're trying to go fast and try to be accurate and put out on the play. If you do that right, you'll be too tired to fight.
That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Baseball Hall of Fame back in biz. The tourist attraction is finally seeing a rebound in visitors. Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis is in upstate New York with more.
Welcome to the holiest of holies. Look, if you are a baseball fan, this room, the Portrait Gallery at the Baseball Hall of Fame is, well, it's iconic. And it's an iconic piece of Americana. We are in Cooperstown, New York at the Hall of Fame, which was forced to close or operate at just a limited capacity last year. Folks here are telling us that they couldn't be happier to be open, and they're welcoming fans back. As you can see, there are kids here, there are adults, there are families, lots of people there. So far, attendance it's coming back. It's not at 2020 levels, about half of 2020 levels. They're expecting ultimately for the year about 160,000 to 170,000 of the 300,000 folks that they had in 2019. So getting back to business, but not quite there yet. Listen.
We've seen it trend up to the point where we're nearing some of the numbers that we saw 2 years ago prior to COVID. For us, it's all about the community partnership. No matter what this brings in, it's going to help not only us, it's our hotels, it's our restaurants, the local shops, and we're really all in this together.
So in addition to this haul, there's also 40,000 artifacts, pieces of memorabilia all through this museum. There are 3 levels of artifacts, and I asked the question, hey, how much is this worth, right? Well, they didn't have an answer for me, but I can tell you one thing for sure. There is one baseball card, a Mickey Mantle card, rookie year, that somebody bought elsewhere for $5 million last year. So you can bet this is worth billions of dollars, were it on the market, which it is not. In Cooperstown, New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
All right, Gordon Ramsay soon to showcase even more food experiences and knowledge. Hollywood Nation coming your way. Gordon Ramsay launches a new studio with Fox, and Rihanna joins the ranks of the mega rich. Fox's Steve Rappaport has the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
Brooks tells his life story, Riri reaches a milestone, and Ramsay cooks up a deal in the Hollywood Nation. Gordon Ramsay is expanding his partnership with Fox Entertainment. As part of a new mega deal with the studio, the star chef is launching the production company Studio Ramsay Global to develop, produce, and distribute culinary and lifestyle programming for Fox, Tubi, and other platforms worldwide. Ramsay has been in business with Fox for many years, with shows including MasterChef and Hell's Kitchen. Rihanna joins an elite group of moneymakers. According to Forbes magazine, the 33-year-old singer and beauty mogul is officially a billionaire thanks to her music, Fenty Beauty Cosmetics line, Savage by Fenty line, and other ventures. The publication estimates her net worth is $1.7 billion, making her the richest female musician in the world. And Mel Brooks is the latest celebrity to release a memoir. Deadline reports the 95-year-old filmmaker will release About Me, My Remarkable Life in Show Business, November 30th. It will cover his New York childhood, his time in the military, his Hollywood career, and more. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of penguins at a Thai zoo getting some exercise. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.